My cousin's false assault claim shattered my life. Now she's dying and confessing the truth. But my family insists I stay silent. Let's call her Mia. Mia wrongfully accused me of sexual assault when I was 18. Sadly, my family believed her story. 4 years older than me, Mia and I were close as kids, but we eventually grew apart. She is the daughter of my uncle, a single father, and my mom's younger brother. After his ex-wife became pregnant, my uncle married young, but she cheated, leading to their divorce. She tried to stay in touch with Mia for a while, but eventually moved away with her new partner, cutting ties completely. My uncle, a respectable man, faced challenges alone and refused help after his divorce. He never sought another serious relationship and dedicated his life to raising Mia. He even set up a college fund for her, but when she turned 18, he told her that while he had done his best, she was now financially on her own as he needed to think about his retirement. Although Mia disagreed, I thought it was reasonable. If she wanted to continue her studies, she should pay for them herself. This led to many arguments between her and my uncle, as she believed he should support her education indefinitely. Mia frequently visited my family, often ranting to my mom after each disagreement with her father. I kept my opinions to myself as Mia came to talk to my mother, not me. One day, Mia showed up unexpectedly while I was home alone. My parents were out, and I told her my mom was in the living room, needing a break from her father after another fight. Honestly, I was tired of hearing her complaints, as she often vented loudly to my mom. Mia began to vent to me instead, expecting my sympathy. I interrupted her when she started complaining about her father again. While my mom might have agreed with her, I felt my uncle was being sensible. He had raised her to be an independent woman, and now it was her turn to prove him right. If she wanted to pursue a master's degree or a doctorate, she needed to pay for it herself. Since she majored in a technical field, I knew any job she got would cover her expenses. She just had to try. She insisted she couldn't work and study simultaneously, claiming it would be too overwhelming. I suggested she might want to reconsider her plans for further education if she found it difficult to balance work and school. It was unfair to expect her father to keep funding everything, especially after all he had done for her. Instead of being grateful, she treated him like the villain. Mia clearly hadn't anticipated my reality check. She exploded, calling me a horrible person, claiming I was a spoiled brat who didn't deserve the support I received, and that I could never understand her struggles. I stayed quiet, but I felt she was the real spoiled brat. After a few minutes of her screaming, she stormed out crying. I avoided her after that. I had no interest in hearing her grievances repeatedly. The next day, my life fell apart when she accused me of sexual assault. One accusation turned everything upside down. After 3 years of silence, my family was finally learning she had lied. My parents woke me early the day after our argument, saying my uncle and Mia were there to see me, and it was urgent. I had no idea what was happening, but when I got downstairs, Mia was shouting, accusing me of sexual assault from the night before, acting as if she were breaking down. My parents were shocked, and my uncle looked worried. Mia was in such a state that she couldn't even communicate properly. Most of the talking came from my uncle, who said Mia had been inconsolable after their conversation. She claimed I had lured her and committed the act she was now accusing me of while my parents were out. Not even my uncle could look at me, and my parents avoided eye contact. They wouldn't listen when I tried to assert my innocence. It was horrifying. People treated me like a criminal despite my innocence. My parents begged my uncle for forgiveness right in front of me, asking him not to disclose the allegation or report me. They promised to do everything necessary to resolve the situation regardless of my protests. My uncle and dad completely turned their backs on me. Frustrated, I threw a vase against the wall to get their attention, but it backfired. My dad lost his temper, grabbed my arm and locked me in my room. I couldn't let Mia get away with this, so I pounded on the door until my hands hurt. Telling such a huge lie could ruin my reputation. My dad only let me out when my uncle and Mia left. I started crying as he opened the door, trying to explain that I hadn't done anything, but they told me they had seen security footage from outside our house. They noted that Mia had come over the previous evening and left crying a few minutes later. They decided to believe her based on her tearful exit. My parents expressed their embarrassment over the situation and insisted that Mia had no reason to lie about what had happened. While my mother was in tears and unable to speak, my dad assured me that they had persuaded my uncle and Mia not to pursue legal action. However, they had to promise to keep me away from Mia and the traumatic event she claimed had occurred. After much discussion, my dad decided to send me to live with my great-uncle. who was known for his bad temper and anger issues. This great uncle was the least liked in the family, but my dad insisted it was the only solution. I despised the idea of living with him. Not only was I being sent away, but my parents also informed Mia that to keep things quiet, they would take my college fund and give it to her. I tried to protest, but there was no room for discussion. Eventually, I gave up, realizing that even my own family didn't trust me. I understood that Mia had likely accused me falsely to manipulate my parents and extract money from them. A few days later, I was ready to leave and packed my things. Neither of my parents bothered to say goodbye or give me a hug. They kept me under house arrest, pretending I wasn't home for the next few days. My phone was taken away, and I wasn't allowed to say farewell to any of my friends. They warned me that if I didn't disappear from everyone's lives, they would ruin my life. A lie Mia told drove me to sever ties with everything I knew and cut off relationships with everyone from my past. My great-uncle arrived a few days later to pick me up, and I was sent to live with him, feeling like I was in exile. No one from my past reached out to me after that, not even my friends or family. I had to start my life over completely. Initially, it was challenging to fit in with my great-uncle. He constantly taunted me, even though he had no idea why I had been sent away. He would harass me throughout the day, holding my situation against me. I had to tread carefully around him due to his temper. Despite my parents paying him monthly, he acted as if he was doing me a favor by letting me stay. After a few weeks, I realized there was no point in crying over spilled milk. I couldn't live with him forever. My parents had cut me off and forbade me from contacting anyone from my old life. I decided to start looking for work, as all I could do was make the best of my situation. I couldn't even attend college. I had been accepted into my dream school but lacked the funds to enroll. After several weeks of searching and a few interviews, I finally landed a job as a warehouse worker. Although the pay was low and the work was physically demanding, my first paycheck allowed me to leave my great-uncle's house. I was fortunate to find a few co-workers around my age who were also struggling financially. The three of us decided to pool our resources and share an apartment, becoming close friends in the process. I knew my great-uncle would be glad to see me go, so I didn't bother telling him when I moved out. I hadn't heard from any family members since leaving. I lived with the same friends I found my first apartment with for the past 3 years. We all worked hard and saved money, hoping to eventually go to college. After a few months in the warehouse, we all decided to keep searching for better opportunities, as the work was physically taxing. I am currently making a decent salary in sales and have been considering applying to universities again. My 2 friends are doing well too, and we recently moved into a larger apartment in a better neighborhood. Naturally, my family thinks it's the perfect time to re-enter my life now that things are looking up for me. I was shocked when my dad emailed me a few days ago, as I hadn't spoken to them in 3 years due to the rules they set when they kicked me out. I had been worried they would spread lies and tarnish my name. I am not active on social media, so I adhere to their guidelines, but they never attempted to contact me. My email address hadn't changed in 3 years, and I never blocked them. The email was essentially an apology for everything that had happened over the past 3 years. My dad wanted my address and contact information in case I wanted to reach out on my own terms. He also included his personal contact details. Mia had finally chosen to confess the truth about what really happened, prompting his apology and sudden attempt at reconciliation. She was dying, and I assumed she had finally gained a conscience. She informed her father of the truth for reasons unknown, and he spoke with my parents. They decided to reconnect with me once they learned the truth about Mia. Her pancreatic cancer diagnosis made it unlikely she would survive. She had been suffering for the past 8 months, and her health was deteriorating despite ongoing treatment. Ironically, she couldn't even make good use of the money from my college fund, having squandered it on poor life choices after betraying me. Mia had taken a gap year with that money, traveling the world to find herself instead of working towards her master's degree. Wanting a luxurious lifestyle, she had already spent more than half of her savings by the time she returned about 1.5 years ago, and she began pestering my parents for more. If she tried to take any more money, my uncle threatened to cut her off. Eventually, she abandoned the idea of further education since she didn't have enough funds left to afford a master's degree without working, and working was something she refused to do. She still had some money left but continued her reckless lifestyle, instead of using it wisely or trying to build her savings. After a year-long vacation, she became somewhat spoiled and lazy. Despite not even looking for a job, she wasted more money buying an apartment and living beyond her means. She managed to get a job about a year ago but had to quit shortly after learning about her cancer. Now she needed money, so she had to sell her flat and everything else she had bought. While I don't want to seem heartless, I couldn't help but feel some satisfaction upon learning what happened to her. She was her own worst enemy, and she had no one to blame but herself. After reading my dad's email, I had to think about whether I wanted to reach out to my parents again. I decided to discuss it with my friends, which meant I finally had to tell them the truth about why my parents kicked me out. Until then, I had only mentioned that we had argued. After I shared everything about Mia, how she had lied and thrown me under the bus, and how my parents had believed her over me, my friends were outraged. They urged me not to contact my parents, saying they wouldn't forgive them if they were in my position. These friends are my closest allies now, and I value their advice. They encouraged me to let go of the past and avoid reconnecting with my parents. They also suggested I share my story, as I had done nothing wrong. I had been living in fear for the past 3 years, and they were right. My parents chose to believe someone who lied about me, forcing me to give up so much of my life. I needed to speak out if I wanted to reclaim my life. I told my parents I intended to reveal the true story of events before going public. People deserve to know the truth, regardless of whether Mia is lying on her deathbed. She destroyed my life, and now it was my chance to take it back. I texted the number my dad provided and informed him of my intentions. The screenshots of his email already proved Mia had been lying, so I could post the truth on social media. I was ready to reclaim my voice. However, I think he misunderstood the situation. I wasn't asking for his approval. Now he and my mother, along with my uncle, are bombarding me with calls, pleading with me not to go public. They argue that Mia has already suffered enough and is getting her karma, insisting I don't need to punish her further. They are asking me not to reveal the truth publicly, claiming it will damage Mia's reputation. They seem to believe I can just return to their lives and pick up where I left off. In a way, they are right. No one will likely challenge it. However, I don't think I want to. Mia stole a significant part of my life, and even my friends find it reasonable for me to share the truth. It's about people knowing what really happened, not about revenge. There are few logical reasons for disappearing for 3 years, and then suddenly reappearing without explanation. I am content where I am, and I don't even plan to return to the city. I do miss some relatives and friends who treated me well. They deserve to know the truth. The only thing holding me back from posting is the constant calls and texts from my parents and uncle. They have been begging me not to go public, and it's startling that they still care more about Mia's situation than about what I went through. What would happen if I revealed the truth to my cousin even if she is on her deathbed? Update 1. I did it. I thought about it for a long time and asked my friends for their opinions. They all advised the same thing. I had done nothing wrong, and Mia and her family had taken away 3 years of my life that I could have spent living freely. I had to live in fear because of them. Whether or not Mia is in a bad condition, it would be entirely justified for me to seek retribution. Many responses reflected the same viewpoint. Ultimately, it was my choice, and knowing that most people would support me helped me feel much better. I made my first post a week ago, and last night I finally shared my story, detailing everything that had happened in my life and explaining my 3-year absence from social media. Friends and relatives who knew me reached out to let me know they were there for me and had missed me dearly. I trust them, as I had several communications from people in the first few months after I vanished. Apparently, my parents told everyone not to search for me, claiming I wanted to be left alone because I had gone through something horrific and needed time to heal. People stopped trying to reach out after the first few months, believing they were respecting my wishes. My friends told me they had repeatedly asked my parents where I was, but my parents never provided any answers, so they couldn't get in touch with me. Many family members claimed they had waited patiently for my return, and seeing how eager everyone was to welcome me back and how none had forgotten me brought tears to my eyes. Most importantly, people have said they always found Mia to be untrustworthy. What she did was low, even by her standards. My mom and uncle haven't said anything so far, and I hope they stay out of it because I truly don't want to talk to them. Getting all of this off my chest has made me feel so much freer. Speaking up about what happened was the right decision, and I have no regrets. Update 2. I posted my story a few days ago, and yesterday my parents reached out to me. They only asked one thing, that I let sleeping dogs lie. They expressed disappointment in me and wanted me to come up with a reason for my 3-year absence without revealing the truth about what happened. They believe Mia deserves peace and quiet in her current state. After my post, it seems Mia has lost almost all her friends, and even family members are no longer eager to talk to her. They appear to be blaming me for this. It's shocking that they still care more about what Mia is going through than about my experiences. I told them I no longer cared about their disappointment. An apology will never be enough. They let me down on so many levels, and today they have no right to demand anything from me. If they think Mia should have peace and quiet just because she is battling cancer, I remind them that I was only 18 when they kicked me out and forced me to live with my terrible great-uncle. They showed me no compassion or forgiveness. I was speaking the truth, while Mia lied and got away with it for 3 years. I am taking back my life now, and I won't let anyone shame me for it. I told them not to contact me again, and that their only source of disappointment should be themselves. I finally blocked them, something I should have done long ago, but I was confused and scared. Speaking out about what happened has helped me find closure, and today I don't feel pressured to deal with my parents. For all I care, they can go away. Update 3. After 3 long years, this weekend I finally decided to see my friends and relatives. It turned out to be one of the best choices I've ever made. I brought my housemates along for moral support. They have become so close that we are like brothers, and I wanted them to meet my friends. Everyone got along fantastically, and my friends were thrilled to see me. They were outraged when I mentioned I was planning to stay in a hotel. I am currently living with one of them, but I'll be returning home in a few days. My heart is so full of happiness that I can't even put it into words. We are spending quality time together in one of my friends' homes, and I've also visited several relatives who have told me they have cut ties with my mom, uncle, and Mia. They never intend to be involved with them again. At the end of the day, people will always stand up for what is right, which makes me feel incredibly grateful. Having people around who love me more than my parents ever did brings me joy. They didn't forget me. Thank you for following my journey. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.